everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I wanted to bring you a review of EVE Online in 2024 and what I experienced as a new player coming into this game about 20 years late. Full disclosure, I've only put 200 hours into this game so far. I feel like 200 hours is a pretty good starting point, and I've only just scratched the surface, so I wouldn't trust any of these other reviews that you're seeing where people just rotate around an asteroid for 20 minutes and then call the game bad.
This is the point where I would log out, never play or think about the game ever again.
I'm 200 hours in and I've only just barely scratched the surface on what there is to do, but I wanted to show you some of the things I have done so far, and then I'm going to try and mention the other things that I haven't done as well, so you can kind of get an understanding of what there is to do and what you're supposed to be doing in the game. As a new player into the game, you're going to be started out with an intro quest. Kind of leads you through the basics of the game. It will show you the controls and how to use the combat. Also, will show you the basics around mining. Once you get out of the tutorial, it kind of leaves you wondering what you're supposed to be doing. I feel like this is what happens to a lot of players and is probably why some people don't get that far into the game to actually be able to experience it. A couple of things in the menu that they have the Air Career program up here where you can kind of choose the path that you want to take if you want to be an explorer, enforcer, industrialist, or soldier of fortune. This is the PvP one here. I kind of tried to sample them all to see what they were all about. I started off with the enforcer role here, and what I did was I built myself this cormorant, which you actually get from the starting storyline. Depending on which faction you choose, you'll get a destroyer. You'll also get a mining ship as kind of the tutorial. And you go into the fitting tab, and there's all sorts of stuff that you can add onto your ship. All of these modules you can add, so you can fully customize your ship. There's all sorts of stuff that you can put on here to make your ship stronger, and then you have to stay within these constraints of CPU and power grid. You also have to worry about your capacitor. Your capacitor is like your battery, so you want to make sure your capacitor is stable, otherwise you run out of battery, you lose your shields, that kind of thing. So there is a really in-depth building system. There are a lot of builds online, but I really enjoyed making my own builds. I took my freshly built cormorant and then I did these things called filaments. Filaments are basically these keys here. So hit one of these keys and you use it, and it will then open up an abyss for you. And when you go inside this abyss, it's going to be basically a dungeon, and depending on what type of ship, you can either have 1, 2, or 3 players. I went in a destroyer. It's recommended to have 2 destroyers, so I was just getting twice the loot. I kind of built up some funds doing that, and then I started to build myself a mining ship. And you can start by doing like rock mining, and I have some footage here of one of the mining barges that I built. And I'm just doing basic asteroid mining here, which is pretty cool. You can have mining drones. This is something that's very relaxing to do in the game. There's different types of security in space. So there'll be security from basically 1.0 to 0, and then you can actually get nullsec, which is below 0. And depending on what type of zone you're in, there's NPC police, basically. When you're in these higher security zones, if another player was to attack you, NPC police would basically come for them. So if you want to do some really chill, just mining asteroids in high security where you don't really have to worry about other players, and you can just sit there, you can watch some Netflix, and you can just bring in some good money. There's also other types of mining, like gas mining, which you'll find inside wormhole space. So wormholes, you have to scan down anomalies that are in space. You'll find a wormhole. I built a dedicated scanning ship so I could fly around and scan down wormholes, and then we'll go inside a wormhole, which wormholes are completely no security when you're inside of there, so you could be killed by another player at any time. Once you're in there, you can find these gas sites, and then I made this little mining rig that has gas scoops on it, so then you can go inside there and then you can scoop gas, and this is really good money. This is where I've actually been making the majority of my money. Also, inside these wormholes, there are data sites where you can go and hack the data sites, and you can go in there and you can play this mini game where it's kind of like Minesweeper, and you hack these little boxes and then you can get the loot inside of them. It's actually a very difficult Minesweeper. Either that or I'm just really bad at Minesweeper. I'm not really sure. So those are just some of the things that you can find by scanning anomalies and going into wormholes. There's a lot more to it than that inside the wormholes. The wormholes can lead you to other parts of space that are on the other side of the galaxy. so you can go, if you wanted to have a shortcut, you know, to the other side of the galaxy, you can use the wormholes and go in one, you know, go through the chain of wormholes, pop out on the other side of space, do business over there. If you needed to drop off cargo or move ships or whatever, it can turn, you know, an hour flight into a, you know, 5-minute flight. Also on the left menu here, we have what's called the agency. And this is where you're going to find a lot of things to do if you're a new player. So you'll go in here, there's all of these missions, encounters, exploration. I spent a lot of time in the exploration tab. You can find combat anomalies in here, cosmic signatures. This is what I was just talking about, where you scan things down. Combat anomalies would be where you build yourself a little fighter, you go in and you fight and you loot stuff off of the ships. There's also inside of encounters, there's a lot of multiplayer content, which is indicated down here by the group activity icon. And you can come in here and you can do basically big boss battles with your friends and get tons of loot with the, you know, incursions and insurgencies. There's also factional warfare. So if you wanted to fight between the different factions, you could fight other players for factional warfare. There's missions here. If you wanted to play solo, you can do storyline missions. There's also a section in here if you wanted to fleet up with other people. People just put in groups. They create groups in here. It looks like a lot of these ones today are mining groups. So if you wanted to feel a little bit safer in lower security and come in and do some mining with a group of, you know, 6 people, here's one with 14 people. And they're in probably a low security space, and I mean there's strength in numbers, I guess. So you go in there and you can mine some good resources with a group. Here's also a PvP group. If you wanted to join that, you could go out and do some PvP. This game also has what they call our corporations. Corporations are essentially a guild that you would find in any other game. And the corporations have their own tax rates, what they tax their members. They have their alliances, wars, if they've ever been at war with other factions. You can fight over different systems. So your corporation can own a system and other corporations can come and try to take that from you. And you would defend that with your corporation. As you can tell, the graphics in this game are insanely good for being 20 years old. I assume they've probably updated the sound and graphics at some point in the past. The sound in this game is amazing. Just listen to this clip of me warping in my hauler. Another thing that you can do as a new player to make some money is there is what is called Planetary Industry. You would come in and you would scan. What I'm mining for right now is heavy metals. And you set up, like this is a extraction control unit. You put your little mining heads down. I've got my command center here. And this will mine all these resources off of this planet surface. And then it will feed them into these industry facilities, which will then convert it to another resource. You'll put them in the storage facility here, and then you can launch it up to space where you can then take your hauler and collect it. And then I think what you're supposed to do after that is you take these tier 1 resources that you got off the planet and you haul them over to another planet where you then build a facility that will then refine all those into better resources. Once you then refine all that stuff into better resources, you can come in here where you can put in blueprints. So I can build these ships once I collect all these resources. So you can essentially mine these on the planets and then refine them, build these ships, and then you can sell them to other players, or you can use them, or whatever you want to do. I have a bunch of different blueprints that I've found just from doing the Abyss. I have not done a lot of PvP in this game, but I actually did get an achievement the other day for losing 15 ships. So you will get ganked a lot if you're in low security space. If that's something that frustrates you, then maybe it's not the game for you. I find it funny when people gank me because I've been ganking other people on other games for so many years. Yesterday I was in a wormhole and I was just in there scanning for somewhere to then come back and bring my mining ship in and do some mining. And I fly around with this little scanning ship and I scan for places where I can go mine. And I was coming out of the wormhole. I saw one dude sitting there and he launched a warp, what is it called? Like a warp nullifier bubble or something me and I couldn't move, couldn't warp. And then all of a sudden, probably 20 or 30 people that were sitting there. It was a meme group and they're called Wormhole Police. They all came out of Cloak and all started attacking me at the same time. And then they proceeded to, after killing me and killing my pod, they then sent me a criminal citation in the mail, demanding that I pay them 1 billion credits, which I thought was pretty humorous. I don't think anybody actually pays them. Unfortunately, I lost the footage for that, but it was pretty funny, and I only lost just a little bit of money. It was really great to see a bunch of people just coming out of Cloak and jumping on one person. That might be something that you're interested in, is being a troll. It's something that I know that I probably do if I can continue to play the game for a while. I wanted to talk a little bit about how the skills work, and that kind of ties into monetization of the game. The whole skill system is basically you can't operate anything in the game without a skill that goes along with it. If you wanted to use light missiles, you would need a skill that goes with it for light missiles. If you wanted to do drones, you need the skill for drones. Your requirements are all of these different things, right? You need mining 4, you need drones 1, you need all of this stuff to be able to operate these mining drones. Well, then those all tie to skills that are in here, and all of these skills take time to train. And at first, when you're level 1, they are very quick. This one's 19 minutes. You can see level 2 is an hour, level 3 is 8 hours. It goes all the way up to level 5, which can be like a week worth of training time. And then that's where the monetization comes in, because you can then go to the store and you can buy yourself skill points. And the skill points allow you to advance your training. So if you wanted to buy, 500,000 skill points, you might be able to advance your training on a particular thing by 4 or 5 days. New players, by the way, also get 1 million free skill points, which is really cool, which will advance your training by about 45 days. So it kind of gives you a good start into the game. I'll leave a link down in the description for how to get million free skill points. So if you do decide to play the game, you can just use my link down in the description and it will get you 1 million free skill points. It works even if you already have an account created, as long as you haven't used someone else's referral link. Back to the monetization, like I said, you can pay to advance all this stuff. My queue of stuff that I need to train is 342 days. Long time. If I wanted to pay, I could shorten that. If you are an Omega member, which is a subscription service that costs $20 a month, all of this is half. Another thing about being an Omega member is inside the ship tree here, you'll see there's a lot of ships that you can't actually fly unless you have a subscription. Anything that's above all of these little Omega symbols, you can't fly unless you have a Omega subscription. So all of the good ships basically are locked behind Omega. You still can really try out the game and play it with alpha without paying, but if you want to get really in depth into some of the end game type stuff, you're gonna need a Omega subscription. All right, another thing about the monetization in this game is you can actually buy in-game currency. This guy here wants to buy the currency that's for getting skins and for the subscription, and he's gonna pay you 2.17 billion ISK, which is interstellar credits. So basically, if you go to the cash shop and you buy 500 Plex, which costs probably $20 or $30, and you can come in here and you can get 2.17 billion, and it's totally allowed. So take that as you will. You can definitely buy, you can't directly buy currency, but they definitely do allow you to buy in-game currency by using cash shop currency. One thing that I did find really cool about the monetization is any of the skins that you really like, you can earn in-game, which is pretty rare for these types of games. You can see that all of these different skins for this ship, you can buy them with in-game currency. So that's really cool. You can get any of these in-game. Overall, do I think this game is worth the $20 a month? Absolutely. I'm sure I missed a lot of stuff. Like I said, I've only been playing this game for 200 hours. I feel like I've barely scratched the surface. I look forward to playing this game a lot more. Maybe I'll do another review after 1,000 hours or something. If that's something that you guys are interested in, make sure you get subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of you watching. Do me a favor, leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Hope you have a good rest of your day, and we will see you in the next video.